now it's time to actually tuck in the joints. But before we do that, we have to mix up the proper cement, the Portland Type 1-2 cement. This is a little bit different than the concrete we lay underneath, right?
Yes. Basically, what we have here, David, is this is the regular cement that we used for laying under the stone.
Okay.
Now, what we're trying to do is, by making it a little richer for the joints themselves and a little stiffer, it aids us in, number one, if you have the cement too wet, it's hard to sponge it out properly. By having it this consistency, and you can tell we're drying it up a little, and at the same time making it stronger by adding cement, by using this type, about 2 to 1, you can't make it too rich because then the cement dries up too fast and you'll get hairline cracks in it.
Okay.
So this consistency is just perfect for filling the joints.
So about 1 shovel of Portland Type 1-2 cement with about 2 shovels of masonry sand.
That's right. And by using this, and then we'll show you on the joints how we tuck them in. You can either tuck them in like we do or use a grout bag. But I feel more comfortable using the tuck pointer because you can force the cement into the joints and make it stay in there much better.
And one nice thing with the hoe, if they have a smaller patio or a little sidewalk or something, instead of renting a mixer, they can just mix it up with the hoe like we do there. We've done that with many jobs. We don't even bring out the mixer, right?
No, that is right. So let's go over there and start filling some of these joints and then showing the folks how we proceed with
Definitely.
that.
Okay. Dad, we're going to start tucking in the joints. I'm going to zoom in on so they can see what the concrete looks like. So go on ahead and tuck it in so they can see how we do it. It's real simple. The main thing we like to stress is, right, you got to tuck it in real tight, right?
Yes, exactly. So you fill the joints.
Use a little elbow grease, right?
Exactly. And
because if you leave it too loose, the joints will break out, won't they?
Yes. We are filling in next to the house, and I feel like using a grout bag, you wouldn't get the same pressure on the joints for filling them. However, that's up to you. A lot of guys use grout bags, they like it, and I guess they do an adequate job.
Mm-hmm. We've been just used to it with the tucking. If you do go with the tucking, one other thing we like to stress is we do have a nice cool day out today, but on a hot, dry summer day, the cement will dry up real quickly. They have to sweep that off, don't they?
Yes. As we go along, as you can see, after I tuck it in, I take my trowel and I cut a smooth joint along the house, like this. Mm-hmm. And then I take the trowel and I drag the cement with me, so then I can see what I have filled properly and what I haven't. Then I'll take the trowel and I kind of go along like this and do the last even filling with the trowel.
See that motor you're moving along, it'll dry up real quickly in the summertime. And it's tempting, we've done that before, where you kind of tuck the dry stuff in, but it can break out joints, can't it?
Yes. You want to always have moist cement going into your joints.
Mm-hmm. So it's be pretty moist. Now we are making a mess, but we're going to come back and sponge it later, right?
Yes.
We'll sweep this stuff off, and if it's still pretty wet, we can sweep it into the joints. But if it's dry, we just sweep the dry stuff off
and just pick it up,
and then throw that away and stuff. And then when we sponge it, which we'll go to in a little while, we usually tuck about half of a patio in, depending on how big the patio is, right?
And how much help they have, David. If they have lots of people on hand to help them fill it in, obviously it goes faster.
Right.
And then you can have, if we have enough people, we'll have 2 people filling the joints and one person begin to sponge when it starts to dry a little. But this,
it can be a 2 or 3 man job, or we've had to do it. You've had to do it alone a lot of times too,
yes,
right?
I have done that. Of course, then you have to break off and start sponging. You can't let it dry too far. Then it's gone, and you have a tough time smoothing it up.
I'm just going to zoom in on this joint. It's over here real quickly, just so they get an idea. That's basically what we want. It's tucked in pretty tight. And one other thing I'd like you to show them is just how to do an end, because the ends can be a little bit different.
What I do is I usually put my hand there, and then make sure that by holding my hand there, I can press down on the mortar and end up having a nice smooth area right there.
The hand is always the best when you do the ends like that. You just hold it in, and it's wet enough to where we can, to where it'll stick by itself. And then when you come back to sponge it, it usually is pretty dry enough to where you can just sponge it together and it holds real well.
Once in a while you end up pushing it down, then obviously you have to do it over.
Okay. And then we just throw clumps of mortar around here and there, and then we just drag it with us.
Yes, that's what you use your trowel for.
Okay. Now, one other thing is we're not caulking the joint to the house because it's an older foundation. Settlement's already been there. If they have a newer house, sometimes you recommend caulking just that one joint from the house to the patio?
You can put some expansion joint in there if you want to, and then caulk it. I don't like caulking as well. I know that sometimes if you just use cement, you get a hairline crack next to the house, but I'm willing to put up with that rather than have caulking. However,
because we haven't found caulking that looks that good, have we? We've never found it.
In a caulk joint hardly ever looks that well. And but sometimes it's necessary that you do. With new construction, you should have an expansion joint next to the house.
All right, okay, we'll come back when we do some sponging. We got some of it tucked in. Now you're going to